For most of our lives, we've been handed this script for how money works. Go to school, get a good job, buy that nice house, save for retirement. We all know it. But what if that script, that blueprint for success, was actually a blueprint designed to keep you trapped? Well, today, we're not just questioning that script, we're going to tear it up and show you the one the wealthy really use. I mean, just think about it for a second. That version of success we're all sold. The fancy car, the huge house. It's not just a dream, it's a product being sold to you. And buying into it, that might just be the single biggest roadblock to building any kind of real, lasting wealth. It's a trap, and it's cleverly disguised as a trophy. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about your home. Yeah, we're all told it's the cornerstone of the dream, right? Our biggest asset. But you are about to see why, for most people, it is the exact opposite. It's really a financial ball and chain, one that keeps you working for money instead of having your money work for you. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to expose the great financial lie that's holding so many people back. Then, we'll redefine the very words that shape our financial reality. After that, we'll uncover the invisible traps that are quietly draining your wealth before, and this is the good part, revealing the blueprint the rich actually use. And finally, we'll lay out a clear path to your own financial freedom. Okay, this first one is the most critical hurdle to get over. We have all been conditioned to think that a high salary equals being rich. It's just what we do. You see someone earning six figures, driving that luxury car, and you think, wow, they've made it. But here's the thing. Income is just a flow of money. It's like water coming from a faucet. Wealth is the reservoir you fill up. It's what stays behind, what grows long after that income faucet gets turned off. And right here, you can see the fundamental difference in focus. The high-income mindset, that's what's on the left. It's always asking, how much can I make? And that question leads you to buy things that look like wealth, liabilities that go down in value, like cars and gadgets. But the wealth mindset on the right, it asks a totally different question. How much can I keep, and how can I put it to work? See the difference? This leads you to buy things that actually create wealth. At the end of the day, it's your net worth, what you own minus what you owe, that's the only number that actually buys you freedom. Okay, so to make this shift, we've got to start with the very language we use. I mean, the words asset and liability get thrown around all the time, right? But the definitions you probably learned back in school, well, when it comes to building your own personal wealth, they're not just useless, they're actually dangerously misleading. So listen up, because this right here is the absolute game changer. I want you to forget the old definitions of own and owe. Just throw them out. As author Robert Kiyosaki famously taught, the only thing that really matters is the direction of cash flow. It's that simple. Does it put money in your pocket or does it take money out? This one little shift in perspective, it's the foundation for literally everything else. It is the master key that unlocks the entire blueprint. So what's an asset? Simple. An asset works for you. Think of it like a little economic engine that just keeps generating income, whether you show up to a job or not. A perfect example is a rental property where the tenant's rent covers the mortgage, the taxes, insurance, all the repairs, and you still have profit left over each month. Or hey, what about stocks that pay you a dividend every quarter? That is money just showing up in your pocket, and you didn't have to trade a single minute of your time for it. Liability, on the other hand, well, it makes you work for it. It is constantly demanding money from you. That car payment takes money out of your pocket every single month. Your credit card interest takes money out. And, yep, the big one, the mortgage, the property taxes, the maintenance on the house you live in, all of it, just taking money directly out of your pocket month after month after month. And this example just illustrates the whole concept perfectly. Think about it. To you, your mortgage is a massive liability, but to the bank that gave you the loan, it's one of their best performing assets. Your payment, the money leaving your pocket, is going directly into their pocket. You are literally funding the bank's asset column. And that's why knowing the difference is so critical. The whole system has taught us to go out and buy liabilities, all while thinking we're buying assets. So you might be wondering, if the concept is so simple, just buy assets, not liabilities, why do so many people, even people who make a ton of money, get it so wrong? Well, it's because there are these powerful, invisible forces working against us. And two of them in particular are just devastating. One is psychological, and the other is pure math. Okay, first up is the psychological trap. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, but you probably know it as lifestyle creep. Here's how it works. You get a raise or a bonus. What do? You upgrade your lifestyle, right? A nicer car, a bigger apartment, more expensive clothes, and it feels great for maybe a few weeks. But then it just becomes the new normal. Your happiness level goes right back to where it was, but your expenses, they're now permanently higher. You're basically running faster and faster on a financial treadmill, but you're not actually getting anywhere. It's the perfect recipe for a lifetime of living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how big that paycheck gets. All right, now for the mathematical trap. I want you to just take a look at this number, $788,000. What do you think that is? The cost of a house, maybe? A lifetime of savings? Nope. For a whole lot of people, that is the hidden price tag of their car. So how does a seemingly innocent car payment become a secret wealth killer? Well, here's how. Every single dollar you spend on a liability has something called an opportunity cost. It's not just about the dollar you spend, it's about what that dollar could have become. So let's say instead of buying that new car, you invested the average car payment, which is about $894 a month. You do that for the length of an average car loan, about 5.5 years, and then you just stop. You never add another penny, you just let it grow. By the time you're 65, the power of compound interest turns that money into almost $750,000. That is the invisible price tag of choosing the liability. Okay, so we've seen the traps. It's kind of depressing, right? But now, let's look at the escape plan. And this is where we flip the entire script on its head. See, most of us are taught to fear debt, to avoid it at all costs. But the wealthy, they understand that there are two kinds of debt, and they use one of them to get incredibly, incredibly rich. So you've got bad debt and good debt. Bad debt is what most people are familiar with. It's when you borrow money to buy things that lose value and cost you money. Cars, clothes, vacations on a credit card. But then there's good debt. That's when you borrow money to buy an asset that generates more income than the cost of the debt. A perfect example is getting a mortgage for a rental property where the rent you collect is more than your mortgage payment. In that case, the debt is literally putting money in your pocket. It becomes a tool, not a burden. And this leads to one of the most powerful strategies the wealthy use. It's called buy, borrow, die. And it works in 3 simple phases. First, they buy assets that go up in value over time. Think real estate, stocks, that kind of thing. Then, phase 2, instead of selling those assets and getting hit with a huge tax bill, they borrow against the asset's value. The loan they get is tax-free cash that they can use to live on or to buy even more assets. Then comes the final phase, die. When they pass away, their heirs inherit those assets. But here's the magic trick. There's a tax rule called the step-up in basis that basically hits a giant reset button. The IRS just pretends the heirs bought the asset yesterday at its current high value, which completely wipes out decades of taxable gains. It's a perfectly legal way to build and pass on fortunes almost entirely tax-free. And that buy, borrow, die strategy, that's just one piece of the puzzle. They use something called arbitrage, which is just a fancy way of saying they borrow money at, say, 6% to buy an asset that pays them 10%, and they just pocket the difference. They use leveraged buyouts, or LBOs, to buy entire companies using mostly borrowed money. The specific tool might change, but the theme is always, always the same. They use debt as a powerful engine to create wealth, not as a chain to pay for their lifestyle. Okay, so how do you actually start applying all this? There's a brilliant framework for understanding the path forward, also from Robert Kiyosaki. I want you to think of it like a map. It shows the 4 ways people can earn money. But more importantly, it shows you how to move from being financially fragile to becoming truly and completely free. This is called the Cashflow Quadrant. Now, take a look at the left side. You've got the E for employee and the S for self-employed. People on this side are trading their time directly for money. If they stop working, guess what? The income stops. This side of the quadrant also pays the highest percentage in taxes, by far. Now look over at the right side. You've got the B for big business owner and the I for investor. A B doesn't own a job, they own a system that makes money. An I has their money working to make more money. Their income is passive, it isn't tied to their time, and this is the side where the tax laws are the most favorable. So here's the bottom line. The entire game of building real wealth is about one thing: shifting your primary source of income from the left side of this quadrant over to the right side. It's all about moving from active income, where you work for money, to passive income, where your assets and your systems work for you. That right there is the path to freedom. And really, that just sums the whole thing up, doesn't it? It is not about the size of your paycheck. That's not what matters. It's about the size of your asset column. It's about taking the money you earn and turning it into a little army of dollars that go out and work for you 24/7, no days off. So I want to leave you with this. This is the ultimate question you need to ask yourself. Tomorrow morning, when you look at your bank account, think about this. Every time you spend money, every single dollar is a vote. It's a vote for one of two futures. So, is this vote for the temporary thrill of a new liability that just feeds your ego? Or is this vote for the permanent power of an asset that builds your freedom? Only you can decide which future you're choosing. Look, the blueprint for poverty is built on a mountain of convincing lies. But the blueprint for real wealth, it's built on a simple, timeless truth. You get rich by buying assets. So buy assets and sell the lies.